Alright, well hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Anthony and today we are going to be doing a part 2 on the Citizen Skyhawk watch. Part 1 of this video that I made about 6 months ago talked about all the different features and functions of this watch, how to set it, etc. Got a lot of really good feedback from that, talking about some of the things that I missed. Two key things that were pointed out to me is that I never pointed out how to reset the watch, as well as how to use the rotating bezel. So I'm going to make actually 2 more videos. This first video that I'm doing today is going to be on how to reset it and zero out the hands. And then the next video is going to be on that rotating bezel. So before we get started, I'm just going to say that if you have not seen the first video, I would recommend that you go into the description that I'll leave in the link down below, and you can just check out like the first 5 minutes so you kind of know some of the phraseology that I use, what I call the different buttons and all that stuff. And then you'll kind of be up to speed on exactly what I'm referencing here. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so to begin, we're going to talk about, resetting the watch. When exactly would it be a good time to reset the watch? Well, according to Citizen, they say that if ever the battery or the capacitor, whatever you want to call it, if ever it drains fully, you're going to want to reset the watch. If you changed the capacitor at any time, you're going to want to reset the watch. Also, you may want to reset the watch if it receives any sort of harsh bang, or you bump it into anything really hard and it's now showing an abnormal indication. A good starting point is to reset the watch before having to send it back to the factory. Also, zeroing out the hands would be a good practice if ever you have a discrepancy between the digital display and the actual hands on the watch. I had one gentleman approach me in the comment section of the last video and say that the digital display always showed 2 minutes off from the minutes hand here, and he couldn't get them to align. And so doing the hands alignment or the zeroing position will help with that. So without further ado, let's go ahead, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to take the crown here and you're going to pull it out 1 click just to the intermediate position, and you're going to rotate it until your function hand or your mode hand is pointed up at chrono there. Okay. Once it's pointed at chrono, you're going to pull the crown all the way out, so it's going to be in the all the way out position. Okay. And you're going to see the hands begin to wind. You're going to see the 24-hour, I'm sorry, not the 24-hour. Well, you're going to see the 24-hour hand move. You're going to see the minute and second hand move. You're going to see the UTC clock move. You're going to see this guy here move. You see everything basically align. Okay. All right. So now there's a few things that you're going to want to take note of. First and foremost is you're going to want to see the 24-hour hand in the 12 o'clock position. You're going to want to see the minute, seconds, and hour hands in the 12 o'clock position, as well as the UTC hands in the 12 o'clock position. Now the UTC hands on that UTC dial up top, or the Zulu time clock up top, those are hidden by the main hands here, and we're going to talk later on down the line about how we can go to see that. And then finally, power hand here with the antenna options. You're going to want to see that actually at the 6 o'clock position. So everything else is going to be at the 12 o'clock position, and this is going to be at the 6 o'clock position. Okay. Obviously, this guy here is going to stay in chrono, and these here are just going to read 0. Before we get underway with this, I should mention one thing. If you're going to reset the watch, okay, all of the settings that we set up we talked about in the first video, all of those will get undone. Okay, so if you go reset the watch, it's going to basically undo everything we've talked about before. Okay, so just kind of know that going into it, that you may have to go back and reference the first video. You don't necessarily have to reset the watch if you're just looking to align the hands, but for other cases you may have to do a full reset of the watch. So just be aware that before you reset the watch, this may involve having to go back and readjust some of the settings you put in at the beginning, at the first video. Okay, Now once the crown is pulled all the way out, all the hands have stopped moving, and you're in the chrono position, of course. All you have to do is just click the top and bottom button. And there you have it. The watch has been reset. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And this is nothing more than just resetting the watch, putting everything back to the factory settings as if the watch rolled right off the factory floor. Okay. But once the watch has been reset, some of the hands, depending on maybe calibration errors or any number of errors that could have been made in the factory, some of the hands may not align perfectly, or if the watch did take a hard hit and the hands still aren't aligning perfectly, we are going to want to zero out the hands and make sure all the hands are pointed at the 0 position. Well, how are we going to do that? Or their respective 0 positions. So how are we going to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. With the mode selector set to chrono, the crown pulled in the all the way out position, and all the hands done moving, go ahead to the top button here, and you're just going to click and hold it for about 2 seconds. And there you are. You're going to see this say CHR. Okay, and you may have noticed the power hand wiggle a little bit. Okay, and what it's basically telling you now, or what it's offering to you, is to basically adjust that hand. And so you're just going to move the crown left or up or down basically until that hand is in the most 6 o'clock position you can essentially get it. Okay. Once that's done, you're going to go ahead and click the top button. Okay. Now you'll notice out from behind the minutes and hour hand, you may notice that the UTC hands wiggled back there. Okay, but of course you can't really see them because it's blocked by the minute and hour hand. So what you can do here is the bottom button. Go ahead and click the bottom button. Okay, and you'll notice that the seconds hand will swing around until the minute hand is just out of the way, and then you'll be able to, same thing, use the crown until it's set in the most 24-hour position you can feasibly get it to. Okay. If you want it back to center that, you can do that. All right. And then once you're done setting the UTC time, go ahead and click the top button there. Now here on my watch, you'll actually notice that it actually came with the hour hand just slightly off. And so again, I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm just going to use the crown. And this is actually where this feature is helpful for me. Every time I do a factory reset on the watch, which I normally only do for the sake of these videos, I have to keep zeroing that hour hand position out. And in this case, there you go. Now I just took like 2 or 3 clicks, or 2 or 3 spins of the crown in order to get that perfectly centered, just the way I like it. And now we can go ahead and click that upper hand again, and now you see the minute hand wiggle, and you're going to go ahead and adjust the minute hand. Now, a few things you might notice is that as I turn the minute hand only works in 1 minute increments. Unfortunately, it does not work in half-minute increments. Okay. Also, I take this as reason to believe that the second hand and the minute hand are mechanically linked together, because I cannot move or adjust just the second hand or just the minute hand. They have to work together for some reason. So I think they're mechanically linked. And the same thing goes with the hour hand and the 24-hour hand. I cannot just set the 24-hour hand, which is kind of a bummer. So just be aware of that is the case. Anyway, once you're done setting the minute hand, it goes back to chrono. And so here you can go ahead and you can basically see that after I hit each one of these, it wiggles the actual hand itself, followed by showing in the display here what you're about to adjust, and then you're done. Once you're all set with that, you can at that point, you can go ahead and push the crown all the way in. If you're only adjusting the hands to the 0 position, the watch will go back to the time that it had last set. If you do a full reset of the watch, however, it's going to completely zero everything out. So you'll notice now, normally I have this, as you may have noticed from the beginning of the video, I had all of this set up to New York and Chicago time. Now it sent everything back to UTC time across the board, okay? So again, just be aware of that you really truly are resetting everything when you reset the watch, when you do a full watch reset or factory reset. And that's pretty much it. That is how you reset the watch. From here, you're pretty much going to want to go back, and the stuff that I had referenced in video 1 about how to set the time, you can either set the time using automatic mode, or you can set the time manually, pulling out the crown and twisting and all that stuff. Doesn't matter. You can reset the time however you want, but that's pretty much what the next step is from here. So anyway, I hope this offers some insight for you guys. Hope it kind of answers some questions. And anyway, if anything else comes up that you think of that you might like some help with, let me know. Comment if I said anything wrong. Again, feel free to call me out. As I've said before, many times before, I'm certainly not an expert on this stuff, so do not take what I say as gospel by any means with this stuff. So in any case, I appreciate y'all listening. Hope it helps, and we'll see you soon.